So this is an example of one I made just with the yarn straight. But if you're interested, this is the final result, but you can do it before we dye it. I just put, in this one I had little knots, and then I did braids just with gathering some of them. This one I did a big chunk together instead of just putting it one on one. And so you can and that one just tied little things on it. You can just do whatever you want, but that's an example of a different variation of one. Alright, I'm going to teach you guys how to do the yarn craft. So you use this yarn, and this is the style. So you take your dowel stick that you have right here, and then you have your one piece of yarn we'll start with. Set it right here. So you take this piece of yarn, and you're going to fold the ends together like this. And then you're going to grab this side, just like that. You're going to take your dowel stick, come on the back side, you swoop it over like that, you go through the hole, you grab these two, pull through, and then I just put it together like that. And you'll do that until about like right here to right here. And there you go. So this is an example of one that I've started. And you just want to make sure that you stay consistent with which side you pull the string over, because one side has the little knots on it and the other side doesn't. And so you just want to make sure you stay consistent with it. Okay, for the next step, I'm just going to show you guys how to tie the knot on the end. You just tie it on here, on this side, and then whatever length you want to do, tie it over on this side. And probably double knots is the best option to do, so I'll do that on both of them. Just like that. My hands have dye on them from doing another one, so sorry about that. Like that, and then you can cut the ends off. Got some scissors. Like so. Alright, so these are just some of the items you're going to want to grab. A towel, just one that you can use for whatever that you don't mind getting dirty or stained on. Some salt, measuring cup, you can use a practice piece of yarn, your dye, measuring spoon that has 1/2 teaspoon, 1/4 teaspoon, and 1/8 teaspoon if you have it, and then you can have a whisk. You're next gonna fill up with 3 cups of water, and then you can pour it right to your bin or container, whatever you want to use. Just make sure that it is not going to be stained by the dye. So certain plastics, like if I did it in this container, it probably wouldn't be good because it would dye it. So glass or something like this would work. Next, I just turn it on low and I wait for 5 minutes or so. So I like to grab the hanging string and hold it so that it doesn't get wet. And you're gonna do it up to about like 2/3 up. You're gonna get it wet with water. So I'll show you that. Try to not get that wet there. put it on. I kind of drape it over here. And then you just utilize this. And then get just wet to 2/3 of it, which is going to be a little bit further than that. And try not to get it wet on this side, just the bottom half. Alright, so you can see I have this upper part dry, this part's wet, and then I'm just going to wring it out before I bring it to the stove top. Alright, now you're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt to your mixture. Then you're going to put in 1/4 teaspoon of your dye and then mix it in together with the solution. And you whisk it around until it's all added in there. Now I like to use my practice string to kind of see what it would look like, so I got my practice string wet, put it in here. So it's going to be pretty light, but I think it'll be good, so if we hold it about a minute or two for the real thing, that'll work out good. So I grab onto this string, top string again. I'm going to make sure that it gets all of the yarn pieces in, and you're going to dip it in to the very top. Since this is going to be the lightest one, it's going to be the top one. So I might have to use both hands, but you just do it to that way, and your hands might get a little bit of dye on it, not gonna lie, so you're gonna have to clean it with something special to get it off. I happen to have gloves, so you can use those too if you want. Once you have the desired look, you may want to make sure it's not too dark, so I think the 1/4 teaspoon is the best option, because you want to be able to have it get darker. And you've gotten it all straight across as much as you can. Then you're going to wring out the bottom. And just remember that your hands will get dye on it, so maybe put bags on your hands, whatever you need to do. Just wring it out so all of the liquid gets out. Now you're going to add in another 1/4 teaspoon of the dye, put it into your solution, whisk it around. We're going to go for the next color. So we're going to be separating this into third chunks, and so I'm going to bring in until it's filled to about right here. So I'll take it and make sure again that you grab this so it doesn't get all colored. And if your hand has dye on it, make sure you don't grab the cream part of it. And you're going to put it in. Alright, now after a couple of minutes, you're going to pull it out and you're going to wring out the bottom. Alright, for the last color at the very bottom, you're going to pour in another 1/4 teaspoon or just the rest of your dye that you have. Put it in, whisk it around. So this is what we've got so far. See, it's a little bit lighter, then it gets a little bit darker. And so this one's going to be the darkest one, so again, make sure you grab the top. And then you put in for the last third. Alright, I'm just working on the last color here. I've had it in for about probably 3 minutes or so since I've added in the extra 1/4 teaspoon of it. And as you can see, it has the ombre effect going. I'll probably just leave it in for a little bit longer. And tip-wise, if you want the color to get a little bit darker, then you can turn the heat up just a little bit, but make sure not to burn your fingers or anything like that. Alright, so I ended up turning the heat up just a little bit, and I left it in there for probably 10 minutes or so. So for the third one, if you do a total of like 10-15 minutes, you'll get the darker ombre effect. So next up, we're going to wring it out. And I'm putting on my gloves to wring it out because it's gonna be, this part will stain, but it'll come off eventually, but it'll stain, so I'm gonna do that. So this is the end result that we have while it's wet. So you can see it has the different gradient of layers, of colors. And so I'm going to take this, I'm gonna hang it up to dry. I have my old towel to put underneath so that it doesn't, if it does drip, it will just get on this. So I would recommend folding it, making sure that it's not going to get on the ground. And after it does dry, I wait usually just 24 hours. After it does dry, I'm going to trim off the ends to make sure they're even. You can do some sort of like diagonal sort of thing, whatever you want to do with that. And then when you dispose of this, just make sure that you have a cleaning solution to clean out your sink, because when it comes out it can leave a stain on it, but usually I just have this bleach solution that I clean it out with. Or if you can dump it out in a secret dirt place, something like that, so that it doesn't stain, that'll be helpful. And I'm excited to check it out tomorrow. Also, it could be helpful to use a hanger so that when you put it up, it can have somewhere to hold a little bit better. And make sure to turn off your stove. Woo! Alright, so this is the end result before I cut the bottom. And so you can see it has the different layers. So now I'm just going to kind of trim the bottoms. You don't have to, you can keep them however you want to. But that's what I'm going to do now. Alright, so in order to trim it, you can either use a piece of tape and put it on there, or you can just kind of eyeball it, however you want to do it. Alright, so there it is. Gave it a little trim, and there is the end result. Hope you guys enjoy.